Hey King, thanks for clicking on the video. I'm Cody B, and today I want to take you on a bit of an adventure through the absolutely insane world of Tony Chase. Tony is one of my all-time favorite lolcows and definitely my favorite schizo. Although schizo or not, Tony is massively misunderstood by the public as a whole. He sure is a lot of things, but a liar is not one of them. Everything you're going to hear in this video from Tony is 100% his truth. He is completely serious. He's not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. Hell, he's not even trying to entertain anyone. No, instead he is simply trying to bring awareness to the suffering and abuse that he has suffered at the hands of the United States government, and more specifically, the Satellite Man. Tony can truly do a better job of explaining his predicament than I ever could, so why don't we turn our attention to the first ever video that Tony uploaded on his channel, being titled, "Begging for the Satellite Controllers to Stop Burning My Teeth."
Hello, Treasury Department, and hello, Supreme Court. They're burning right here on that tooth. You know that the space behind, in front of that molar that they damaged? That tooth, there's supposed to be a tooth that grows there. They had burned it down, and basic information, and there's supposed to be a tooth that grows there, and the Satellite Man is still doing this shit, trying to play jacked up teeth. Hey, I begged you to leave me alone, government man.
I find it fascinating that this was the first ever video he uploaded, or for the very least, the oldest video on his channel. As far as I'm aware, he had no previous channels before his current one, but his rhetoric has remained exactly the same. This first video was uploaded on July 23rd of 2018, roughly 6 years ago. This is the biggest reason that I don't believe Tony is playing a character or anything nefarious like that. To remain this dedicated for so long with really no benefit to himself is incredibly compelling and leads me to trust in his convictions.
The Treasury laws, read those documents. It says if you ever make me have to beg for my life, or you tried to make me beg for my money, or you tried to make me beg for my lawsuit monies, read the documents, Treasury Department. You got those documents over there, Supreme Court. You got those documents.
His teeth have very obviously been under attack for some time, as they are in rough shape, especially back in this time. He really is also calling on some big names here like the Treasury and the Supreme Court to get this Satellite Man reined in, as there are clear documents regarding this situation. I will say that it is funny to think that the government would have documents or laws stating that a specific person was not to have to beg for their life or money, but it does make a lot of sense because, as you will see, Tony and his family are incredibly important people.
See, these government people wanted to steal from my parents, and they tried to make my parents have to beg for their lives, right, government man? That's what you were doing, trying to steal from my family, right? When you murdered my parents, government man, you tried to make my father and my mother have to beg for their lives. Didn't you, government man? You think you're funny, don't you? Hello, Supreme Court. You know those documents? It says that the government ever tried to make me have to beg for people to leave me alone. Or it even says if I had to lift a finger or if I had to move a muscle to defend myself against a satellite controller or anybody in government, their people would have to be prosecuted, doesn't it? Doesn't it say that? It does say that, doesn't it? And the Satellite Man's been damaging my teeth. And they think they're fucking funny. Well, this is part of my real anatomy. There is no fake documents or there is no documents of me ever having fake teeth. Not never. So that Satellite Man trying to mutilate my teeth, trying to play their games, trying to discredit my beauty by trying to call my teeth fake, are these people damaging things? It's attempted murder every day.
So the lore thickens a bit. We find out that Tony's parents were game-ended by the United States government because the government wanted to steal from them, but the government has documents that detail that if Tony has to do literally anything to defend himself from the government, that the government needs to be prosecuted by the government. It all makes perfect sense, and again, Tony is clearly under attack, so we need to get this process going. It wasn't entirely clear, but I think when he brought up the part that there aren't any documents in regards to Tony having fake teeth, that this implies that they're attempting to forge documents to slander Tony, denying his beauty. If that's the case, I'm sure the Supreme Court has at least one document saying that that's not allowed. Tony does seem very hopeful that this situation can get resolved in court. However, from here things would begin to go downhill for Tony, as his very obvious and clear evidence of wrongdoing by the government would fall on deaf ears and his suffering would unfortunately continue. The next stop on the Tony tour is another one that was uploaded very early on Tony's channel, this one on August 4th of 2018. It's a fairly short one titled "Swollen Upper Lip and Swollen Left Arm."
How you guys doing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
That's the arm that's swollen too.
Tony was absolutely manhandling those 30-pounders. I mean, he didn't actually do 20 reps. He did 10. As with dumbbells, you got to do the rep with both arms before you count one. But regardless, I can see why Tony's arm is swollen. He's putting in that work. I'm not sure what's up with his lip. Maybe the satellite man was messing with him while he was getting gains and puffed it up. It honestly wouldn't surprise me at this point. But I was curious to see if there was any more information that Tony provided about this situation. So I took a look in his description, and let me read that out to you word for word. Satellite abuses, sexual assault, and 7 deadly sins of the satellite controllers hurt me. They have hurt me for over 20 plus years, stole from me, and they're trying to live off my parents' estates, and my parents' estates belong to me, and they're calling me the poor boy. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't get any of that information from the video that Tony provided for us, but let me just say, referring to him as the poor boy, that is absolutely unacceptable. Tony comes from such a distinguished bloodline, so calling him poor boy is an almost bigger insult than burning his teeth and gums. In fact, I'm going to let Tony explain a bit of his family history through the video Timeline of History, uploaded on October 8th of 2018.
This is another thing of importance in reference to my parents and my family history. Not this Mark Ray name bullshit that they've been holding me hostage under. The Royal Protocol is my birth certificate. It's on TV 24 hours a day. Anybody want to deny it? Put your life on the line. Put your freedom on the line. You denying it? You say it doesn't exist? You say it's not there? Is that what you say? You want to spend the rest of your life in prison? Because you tried to make my life a prison by trying to steal my identity. So put your freedom and your life on the line.
I really find it funny how smug Tony comes off in the beginning here. Like, he's so confidently saying that they're broadcasting his birth certificate on TV all day, every day, and that he's challenging anyone to deny it. Which, I mean, we're definitely on Tony's side here, so I'm sure it's on TV somewhere, but I don't really watch TV these days, so I can't confirm myself. But Tony really does have no reason to be lying about this fact.
And you're people denying who I am and who my parents are? Because you're trying to steal my wealth? And your false advertising, claiming that you thought you had higher status than me, or you claim that you were richer than my parents and your political party? Put it on the line, government man. In any court nationwide. Because there are protocols in every city and state on every movie that came from the studios and other particular productions. You wanted to play games? Go into a courtroom, man. Put your life on the line. My parents got murdered by a bunch of goddamn liars. My mother even had a court case about the Greenfield document. The birth certificate that your fucking people made to hold me hostage. My mother had a court case, and then I got rescued after that. Then your people kept kidnapping me. I rescued and kidnapped from California, North Carolina, and New York several fucking times.
Now that was a very confusing sequence of statements. He does lay out a bit of information that we are already aware of, such as that they are trying to steal his parents' wealth, which at this point is Tony's wealth, and that they're lying trying to downplay Tony's status, i.e. calling him poor boy in the past. But the thing that really interests me the most here was this Greenfield document that Tony brings up, being the birth certificate that the United States government produced to hold Tony hostage when he was young. Now, interestingly enough, if you search up Greenfield document in Google, nothing really comes up in regards to a birth certificate, but there is something known as a Greenfield project, which Wikipedia defines as a project that lacks constraints imposed by prior work. An example being building a whole new factory instead of adding onto or building around an existing one, more or less breaking new ground. So as you can see, this concept perfectly applies to this government-produced birth certificate, as they tried to make a completely new one for him to make it easier to oppress and steal from him, as this new birth certificate wouldn't be constrained by his prior and true one.
So why don't you go into a court, government man? You wanted to say something about, you people want to say, where do you think I came from? What do you think my mother and father's mansions look like? Because I'm the owner forever. Nothing's ever for sale, not never. So your government people have played these tricks, trying to steal my wealth and my family history with your goddamn scams. Go into a courtroom, man. You can get prosecuted for your crimes every time, government man. And there's records of me and my mother and father at the Supreme Court a long time ago when I was little, because I got injured by the government. Because the government was trying to steal my mother and father's wealth. Because their people wanted to be famous, or they wanted to be rich, or they were jealous. Whoever these people are. Their people need to go to court. This has been going on a very long time. Several decades. So in reference to the government man trying to play tricks, there needs to be a television special about, and on cable, and on the internet. Reference to my mother and father's mansions and that I'm the owner forever. Reference to who I am and who my parents are. The Royal Protocol's forever, man. That document is there so nobody can steal from me, so nobody can hold me hostage, so nobody can deny my ownership of my mother and father's estates. I'm the owner forever, no matter what.
Tony really does have an airtight case here. It's obvious that the government men won't step into the courtroom because they would be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. So unfortunately, the government has continued to dodge Tony's pleas to get them into the courtroom. This particular video does go on for quite a bit longer. He discusses that he has had to use that fake Greenfield birth certificate to get jobs, which is truly a travesty. But the main point I was trying to get across with this is that Tony's family is incredibly wealthy and very important, and that the abuse that Tony has endured for all these years has very deep roots and entrenched itself within our government. So now that we've gotten a taste of Tony's past, we're going to fast forward a few years to quite possibly the golden era of Tony's content. Most of his most popular videos come from this period between 2020 through 2021, where he was posting just some absolute heat. Tony at this time had really let the rage at his situation truly set in, and it's a sharp contrast from his early videos. I mean, in those, he is clearly annoyed at the government man and his antics, but it hadn't boiled over quite yet. Maybe it was the pandemic keeping him in his house, making him an easier target for the satellites to burn, or it was just the frustration at his situation boiling up, but ultimately, it led to the creation of Tony's most popular video uploaded on November 12th of 2020, simply titled, "Get into Court Now," with 3 exclamation points.
He's doing. That satellite man just communicated. He said he dared me to claim that I outranked him or something. Do you own Smith & Wesson or do I? Do you own Winchester or do I? Do I own the NRA or do you? Do I own military installations, weapons corporations in this country or do you? Do I own air fighter jet manufacturing and commercial jet manufacturing? Do I own car company manufacturing in America? Do I own farms in America? Do I own gas stations? Do I own 165,000 gas stations around the fucking world? Or is it you? Or am I the owner? Do I own John Deere tractor or do you? Do I own Freightliner or International or Peterbilt? Or do you? Do I own Mack Truck? What companies do you think I own? Do I own General Motors? Or do I own Lamborghini, Ferrari, Chevrolet? What do you own, motherfucker? Do I own Lamborghini? Do I own Mercedes? Do I own BMW? What do you fucking own? Do I own the White House? Or do you claim you thought you owned the White House? You better go into court, you motherfucker! Why do you think they call me the son of Uncle Sam? Because it was my family that loaned money to the American government! You fucking faggot! You better go into court, you motherfucker!
That video is incredible. Just the way he gets progressively more angry after everything he says, the PlayStation Home music as the backing track. This is genuinely just the perfect Tony Chase video. But it is not quite my favorite one in his catalog. That honor instead goes to a video titled, "You Wanna Fight Me, Canadian President? Are the One That Has Damaged My Face and Teeth," uploaded on April 13th of 2021.
What you guys doing? This is very important. I guess a Canadian president's one of the fucking faggots that's tried to murder me. And he's choking my cat right now or something. You better step into court, Canadian president. You fucking drug addict faggot.
Step into court, motherfucker! You wanna fight me? You wanna fight me, you fucking fat, faggot motherfucker?
That video is only 24 seconds long, but it takes you on an entire adventure. The rage is instant and intense, which is understandable because I'd be pretty upset too if the Canadian president was choking my cat. I also gotta say that I'm super amused by the bundle of sticks insult. It's just one of my favorites. However, there is one burning detail about this video that may be eating away at you. That being that Canada doesn't actually have a president. They have a prime minister up there, so who was Tony really directing this video at? Well, consider this for a moment. Tony's family is obviously very important and wealthy, so much so that the United States government has been working night and day to keep Tony down and under their thumb. So how do you think they would react if an agent, even a president from a foreign nation, tried to step in and take a piece of the Tony pie? Well, I think they may just get rid of them and tell everyone that they never existed to begin with. Just some food for thought. To wrap things up here, I do want to take a look at some of Tony's more recent content. Unsurprisingly, his messaging has remained very consistent. He still hasn't managed to get the government into the courtroom just yet, but good news is that it seems like he's gotten some work done on his teeth, as they look fairly normal now.
This is very important. I'm looking on the internet of like chicken farms, but in America. But in reference to the satellite man hitting me in the face and teeth and them knocking out that tooth, my heart rate has went up. You know that? So in reference to them damaging teeth and them stealing teeth or knocking out a tooth, it's went up like 10 points or something. So that is attempted murder, and they must get prosecuted for knocking out that tooth.
Well, dang it, I suppose the satellite man couldn't just let him get away with fixing his teeth. At least the front ones still look pretty good. Another thing I did notice is that Tony now has a device that allows him to see the locations of satellites at any given time, so he's been rightfully using this tool to prove that he has been suffering from their attacks.
Satellite number 3, number 2, number 14, no, it's number 7. So it's 3, 7, 14, 2, 21, 22, 17, 10, 8, 5, 9, and 29. So it's, they're still hitting me in the face and jaw and teeth. They're still hurting my jaw, and they're still spreading things, and they're still damaging all the way up in here. And it's just, Ollie just did it again. The motherfuckers. But the numbers again for this. All right. Sometimes they change.
It was pretty insane to see a satellite attack in real time like that, but I think the big picture that we get from all this is that Tony is showing absolutely no signs of slowing down. He posts multiple videos every single day, all saying the same exact stuff that he's been saying for the last 6 years. And now that's really the main reason I'm not subscribed to him, because if you subscribe to Tony, your entire feed will become Tony. I just check in on him occasionally and watch a few of his videos when I do check on him. There have been a couple of times where he will go long stretches without uploading anything, and this is usually a bit of a worrying time for those of us who keep track of Tony, worrying that the satellite man may have finally gotten him, if you know what I mean. But thus far, he's always made it back, so hopefully that can continue, and that this man can truly find some peace someday. So that was our first dive into the wild world of Tony Chase. Now, there is a lot that I didn't cover. In fact, there is an entire section of Tony lore that I didn't touch at all, because I think it's enough for its own video, that being the stuff on Tony's race being a hermaphrodite who has a 36-inch gemstone-infused male part that the government is attempting to steal from him. It is a very deep rabbit hole. Some of his funniest videos involve this topic, but I am a bit worried about losing monetization when covering that topic, so I'm going to split it off into its own thing. So keep an eye out for that at some point. I do have some other things that I want to cover before that, so I just humbly ask you to please stay tuned for more content in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a blessed day, and peace out.